Mike, thank you so much for joining us today on the Athletics Podcast. It is an honor to have you on, and I'll tell you why for many reasons. But let me tell you, Simon Sinek deemed you, the patron saint, top contender patron saint of entrepreneurs. I love it.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? He's a great guy. He's a great guy. And it came out of nowhere. It wasn't like he doesn't hand out endorsements necessarily, but he and I know each other. We go way back, and we share the same publisher. So I ran into him in the hall one day. I said, "Hey, dude, I know it's a big ask, but would you be willing to share your thoughts?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I'm like, "Wow, that's awesome. Thank you."
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're right. He does not dole out those endorsements very often. When I saw that, it just kind of put a big smile on my face. And it's well-deserved, because really, the thing I've learned about you and following you, what you do that's so powerful, you come from a place of experience. You don't stand on a mountaintop and preach, right? You're in the trenches with your people, and you have a lot of people, you have a lot of followers, and it works. And the thing is, you keep evolving as things happen. I would love for you, and obviously on the introduction, I gave a snapshot of your amazing journey, but in your words, can you take a couple minutes here and walk our listener through where you've been, what you've done, and what you've learned?
Sure. So I'm an entrepreneur today. I'm actually a full-time author. I happen to have some businesses, so I do have an entrepreneurial aspect, but I started at my adult life, I guess, as an entrepreneur. Out of college, I graduated. I couldn't get a job that I wanted, not that dream job I envisioned, working for like a big 6 accounting firm or something. So
doesn't look so dreamy now, does it?
It does not look so dreamy. My gosh. And it's funny, after college, I had some friends that did that. And they were working like animals. And it's just, it was just nasty. So I started my own business, not because I wanted to, just because I really didn't have an option. And I knew computers. So I started a computer service business, and fell in love with entrepreneurship pretty quickly. It was terrifying. I didn't make money. There was revenue growing, but I was never really making money. And ultimately that was acquired. It was purchased by a private equity firm. And that's when I made some money. And I was like, oh, just build it and sell it. Like, that's how you make money. And my second company, I repeated that, but it sold for millions. It was a computer crime investigation service. I was like, oh, I got this figured out, thinking that pump and dump is the right approach. But I think someone upstairs had a different strategy for me, because I tried that on my third iteration, and it was a calamity. I was a calamity. I had no clue what I was doing. I was trying to be an angel investor and start many businesses. I lost everything. And that became the restart. I came home to my family to tell them that we were going to lose our house. We lost it 30 days later, lose our stuff, cars, possessions, because I had to liquidate to pay off my debts and my tax bill. But that it also required that there was a full restart. And the restart for me wasn't like the next morning I woke up and said, I got this figured out, I'm going to write about it. I started boozing hard, way too hard to medicate myself. I became an insomniac. I couldn't sleep, constant stress. There was actually blotches all over my body. And I went to the dermatologist, like, oh, I had de-stressed. And I found the key, for at least for me, for de-stressing in that situation. It wasn't like, work out more. It wasn't positivity. What it was maintaining a journal. A friend of mine said, which journal's like code word for diary. He said, dude, just write down your thoughts. And he goes, whatever you feel, it's not about like rah-rahing yourself on. He goes, if you're angry, write you're angry. And what was miraculous about that, Ed, is as I wrote stuff down, sometimes visceral, I was so pissed at the world, at God, at myself, at my family, at everyone had failed me. That after I let that out, that vitriol, I would have like 5 minutes or 5 hours of clarity. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can focus on working again. I didn't need to medicate with a beer or anything. So then I repeat that process. I did that for years. And that clarity started opening doors for me. And I started saying, oh, document what I don't know, and I can seek ways to solve it. That's why I became an author. And that was only 15 years ago. But from that day forward, from starting that journal, I've been documenting everything I discover about business and research, and talk with experts and compile it, really to solve things I don't understand about entrepreneurship. I'm clueless, but I'm trying to codify it. And then I like to share it in a book. Right.
Which you've done, is it 13 times now?
No, I got 8 books out there, or 9.
8 books? Am I miscounting? Okay, I apologize about that.
I wish it was 13.
Yeah, maybe that's
you got me jacked up
down the road here. Yes. Yeah. But that's what's really cool is like you figure stuff out for you, and then you share it with us.
Yeah.
And how I talk about that kind of that discipline that goes into that, that learning curve that goes into that as you dig in. Now, do you try to make the changes right away? Do you try to implement them right away? Or is it something like, let me get my arms around this and see where we can go?
Yeah. It's more of that. So a couple of things. I really struggle with complex ideas. So Profit First is my most popular book. And I remember my accountant saying, you got to read accounting statements like the balance sheet and the cash flow statement, all these things. And I tried, but it was too heady. And I found I was following an easier path. I was just logging into my bank account. And if I had money, I could spend it. That was like the simple system.
Right. So
then I was like, okay, well, but I'm not profitable. So that's not working for me, but that's my behavior. And so what I like to do is I observe what my behavior is. And in most entrepreneurs' behaviors, I ask people, how do you try to manage your money? And they say, I log in my bank account. And then say, okay, if that's our current behavior, how do we build a system around that will channel the output we want? And how do I do it for myself? And it's got to be simple, because if it's too heady, I lose interest and my brain is full and I'm done. What I do is once I come across the concept or the problem, I'll start investigating concepts. And usually the answer's out there. Admittedly, nothing I've written is a brand new discovery. It's a new maybe compilation of stuff that's been around for eons. You know, the envelope system has been around forever. And I just used it in a new flavor for business. Then what I do is I test it. I own 6 companies now. So I test it in my businesses. I have a president for each company and a partner. And I'm like, hey, is it cool if you try this out for a bit? And we start guinea pigging, but we try on a small level because some of the things we try are just stupid and wrong. And it doesn't work. And we find something that works and gets traction. Right. Once we get a few kind of a recipe internally, then, and I'm so lucky because of my readership, I'm like, who wants to try out a new thing? And I'll get hundreds, perhaps, or even sometimes a few thousand people willing to test out. Right now, I'm working on a book about employee engagement, how to really raise the bar, how to motivate others through a common goal. And we found some things that are new. Again, it's eons old, but isn't being applied to business, not often. And we're testing those things out as we speak. And we just started an organization that is teaching quite a few hundred businesses on this process. And it's a learning experience for us. It takes me about 5 to 7 years, sometimes 10, to compile the entire book.
Okay.
And I'm about 2 years out now from this book and this concept. We have enough stuff, enough proof. These ideas are working now. It's how do I put it in a way that's consumable?
So as you've evolved over the years, writing the books, right? What have you learned about the process? What have you learned about doing the research? What have you learned? How have you learned to like, okay, something's not working, instead of banging your head against the wall, trying to get it to work because that's what you really believed it was going to be, to just letting go and moving on to the next concept?
Yeah. I find when I'm working on something, rarely is complexity the solution. And so when I'm working on something, if I'm inserting complexity to it, it's rarely going to fix the problem, and it's not going to be consumable. Like you read a book that's really heady, and it's, at least for me, is impossible to deploy. I also realize that theory in books, while interesting and intriguing, if it doesn't have applicability, if you can't deploy it in your business and start testing it out yourself, it's just going to circulate around as a cool, interesting idea, but who does that? So when I'm going through my books, and right now I have about 25 different book concepts that I'm collecting content on at different levels. I mean, some of them sit there like with cobweb, but they're there. I then hone in like on 4 core subjects that are really intriguing to me and of great service to the people I know. And then I start focusing on that. And then the one that I can say, oh, there's the simple snap of the fingers shift you're gonna make your business. It's such a simple concept that if you just, instead of taking profit last, you just take it first, you pay yourself first in your business, that's the change. Right. Once I hit that tone, and enough people are like, oh my gosh, that was it, then I go all in on that concept.
Well, and speaking from experience, Michalowicz Group, we are a profit first business. Simple doesn't always mean it's easy, right? Like no. You've got to constantly make adjustments. You got to keep looking at things. But here's simple. What I love, simple is sustainable, right?
That's
simple
correct.
It is so sustainable. And sometimes we live in this world now with all these smoke and mirrors and all these sexy, glamorous things. And this is one of the things I love about you. It's like, let's get right down to it. Let's cut the BS. This is how it is going to work. And you need to do it over and over and over and make adjustments when they're needed. Don't try to recreate the wheel. Just trust it.
Yeah, I'm into that. Persistence brings about performance. this is a marathon, our lives, our business. This is kind of has an athletic theme. I exercise regularly, and I use this exact same kind of concept. I committed to myself to work out regularly. So then I started observing myself. I always said I worked out regularly, and I didn't. But 8 years ago or 9 years ago, I made this transformation where I've never missed a single workout. And what it was observing my pattern. I'd wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom, drink some coffee, scroll through the news, and I'm like, oh, the day's getting away, and wouldn't get my exercise in. The shift I made was I realized that pattern. I'd always wake up and go to the bathroom first every time. So I put my gym shoes on the toilet seat, and I'd wake up, and the only way I can use the toilet is by grabbing my shoes, and then you put them on, and momentum kicks in. You head down to the gym, and I get my half hour to 45 minutes in.
Right.
And it was that little simple thing that became transformational.
Right. It's amazing how that works. Like as I train for
it really is.
It's as I train for a half Ironman, the thing, like the only time last year I could get into the pool was at 4:30 in the morning when the pandemic was at its peak. That's the only time we can get in. And it was great once you were done, right? Like you were done, the day started, bam, we knocked it out. But that's what I would do the night before. I would take my mesh bag with my fins, my pull, I know everything in there. And I had my suit out. I'd have the workout printed out.
That's awesome.
And I have everything right there. And all I had to do was be a zombie, grab it. Every now and then I forget my towel, which really was not fun. Okay? But at least I didn't forget my suit. That would have been bad.
Yeah. You
still
have to do it.
Yeah. So, but it's just amazing. Can you talk about, I saw a tweet that you had out. It was recent. Okay. And it talks about routine, that it's not our shackles, right? And routine and discipline actually equal freedom. Can you talk about, you just alluded to a little bit of the routine, how significant routine is into your process and your process into success?
Yeah, it's massively important. And I heard that phraseology from someone else saying that, we thrive within systems, we thrive within expectations and procedures, established and that are routinized, meaning that we know and we can anticipate what's coming next. We thrive in it. And it's kind of seemed weird because, for many people, myself, I want freedom. I want to do what I want when I want.
Right.
But what I found is when I afforded myself to do what I want when I want, it went into this nowheresville and I wasn't getting anything done. So my routine, my daily routine, and I have a document in my calendar. I'm pretty rigid about this, is I wake up naturally at 5 or 5:15 in the morning. And the reason I wake up that time is because I'm in my bed at 8:30 at night, lights out by 9. I can't go any later than that because I need my 8 hours. I then, from 5:30 till 6:30 is my writing time. I write every day, except for Saturday, Sunday, but every day, because that's the most fundamental thing to the way I can be of service to our community, our world. So, I was writing this morning. And then from 6:30 till 7:30 is working out, which is exercise. Today was a cardio day. I was hitting the rowing machine. Tomorrow it's weights. It's a heavy lift tomorrow. And what I found is even though within that routine expectation, I do assign variability. So I'm not going to always do that row, or I'll go for a run or a bike ride. I won't always do the weights. I'll maybe just do a body weight workout or something else. When I'm writing, I'm not always writing on a new book. This morning actually it's called Flap Copy. It's working on and stuff like that. Yep. So that variety within the routine is important for me because that brings about stimulation. But I'm so routinized. 7:30 is make a cup of coffee for my wife. That's her favorite experience is when she's waking up. She likes to wake up around 7:38. There's a fresh cup of coffee. It gives me joy to give her that cup of coffee. So it's part of my schedule is make the coffee, bring it in. And so my wife can watch the sunrise out the window as she drinks her coffee. And I get joy out of that. Then I do a meditation from 7:35, whatever, till 8 o'clock. And then 8 o'clock till 8:30 is get ready for work, hit the road. And then I'm at the office around 9 o'clock each morning. It sounds like so rigid, but every day I'm making a chip forward in something. Every day I'm making a chip forward in health or chip forward in writing. And there's this almost compounding effect. Like if you're making an investment, the more you do, I'm surprised how much writing I get done, not in a day, 800 words, 500 words on a bad day, 1,000 on a miraculous day. Right. But after 5 weeks, that's 25,000 words. Like that's half a book I've written in 5 weeks. Right. If I just keep on chipping away every day.
Right. Do you write 7 days a week or 5 days a week?
5 days a week.
5 days. Okay. So now here's my question for you. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. You know, I'm not trying to speak for others, but just from experience and conversations, they feel like they need to perfect it. You just said it, 500 words on a bad day, 1,000 words on a miraculous day.
Right.
Talk about just moving. If it's 500 words, it's 500 words, right? That's 500
Yeah.
words more than if you wouldn't have done it. Just move on and
That's
nail
right.
the best part of your routine. How important is that?
It's so important. And honestly, I think when I look at some of the stuff I wrote, I'm like, I am probably the shittiest author on this planet. Like, it is some really bad.
There's a few million people that would disagree.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But they're seeing, you know, what the world is seeing is the 0.1%. Like the 99.9% is really shitty stuff. I wrote this morning and I actually started laughing out loud how bad this writing was. I was trying to be really like engaging in energy, high energy in this flap copy, which is promotional copy. For
so you do your own flap copy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know, that's actually a trick for authors. It often has a different voice than the author, but if it's not written by the author, they don't understand the essence of the manuscript, and it actually gets pretty bastardized. So my publisher said, "Hey, here's our version of the flap copy." I'm like, "Oh, this is horrible. I'll improve it," and I made it so effing bad. So I'm like, "Okay, all right, give me another day. I got to rework this." But same thing with any element of life. Like, most of it is 50% of the time, it's going to be subpar. That's the natural law of averages. Half the time, it's not going to meet even your average standard. And that's just workouts, date nights out. Right. Half the time, it can't be the average. But the other half, it can be above. And a small percentage, 1% of the time, say, will be the top elite 1%. So the only way to get there is just keep doing it.
And then enjoy that moment while you're there, because it doesn't happen very often. But why do we get so locked into trying to make things perfect? Like, we're going to take a family vacation, Clark Griswold style, right? We're going to nail this thing. And all you do is go in the opposite direction and just, you know, I mean, and it's like, oh God, we can never get it right. No, you just keep going. Just keep doing. Nothing's ever
going.
perfect.
That's so funny. You get to Wally World, you punch the moose.
Oh yeah.
Son of a bitch. Yeah. So I think, first of all, that goal for perfection is humanity. Like, we all want to be perfect. I think for me, it's also ego and envy based. I see on Facebook or whatever, I see other authors, other people doing things. I'm like, God, they're so amazing. How come I suck? So there's that. And so therefore that kind of helps elevate. I think it can be very debilitating if I allow myself to whine in envy, but I think it's also an opportunity to expand. And instead of saying, why is that not me? Saying, what do they know that I need to learn? So that's a good way to elevate. I think also the 1%, it is very hard for me, at least, to appreciate when it's happening, because I don't know it's there. I'm like, oh, this is the new normal. Like, this is the new standard. I have a day where there's all this conversations about one of the books I've written, and the book is sounding crazy. I'm like, oh, I've just hit the new level. So this is the new standard. I set that very quickly. And then the next day when it's not there, it's major disappointment. So it's just trying to get past that subconscious, this is the new standard, and realizing, oh, maybe this is a 1% moment. I really should savor this. The last thing is interpretation of stuff that's happened in the past. Like, when I look back at things like that day when I ran out of all my money and my accountant called me and said I should declare personal bankruptcy or liquidate, I decided to liquidate. It was the shittiest day of my life. It was the shittiest. And now I look back on that and say, that was the best goddamn day of my life. Dude, I was a dick before that. I thought I knew everything about business. I was full of arrogance. And my wife likes this when I say this. I say, I got de-dicked that day. like I realized
We've all been there.
Better. I'm not better than anyone else. And I'm not worse than anyone else. We're all just on this different journey on this big rock floating around in space. It's kind of weird. And my job is just to contribute the best I can. So it's looking back. A whole framing can flip from shittiest ever to most amazing ever just by looking at it from a different perspective.
I love that. In that's a great segue into the next thing I want to ask you about is how you've evolved with all these different companies and how you've evolved as a leader over the years, right? And you talked about there's two things that you need to do less of, right? Speak less, work less. Can you talk into that? Because, you know, there's some out there that haven't been de-dicked yet that are listening to this thinking like, thinking like, what do they talk about? Just explain that, because I find that so powerful.
So I remember my forensics business. That was the computer crime investigation. One day I came out of the office and we were just on this fast trajectory. And I ran the calculations. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the year we're going to hit $10 million. And we were only 2.5 years in. I'm like, this is the year. And I write everything up and we had 30 employees at the time. I call everyone together and I say, I got great news. I had like this cheesy music playing in the background. It was probably like Survivor,
Eye of the Tiger.
And I'm like, we're going to do $10 million in revenue. I'm getting all jacked up. And it was a silence. It was a silence.
Mm-hmm.
My colleague, my trusted assistant, her name is Patty. She was freaking awesome. Patty comes up to me afterwards and says, Mike, no one cares about $10 million. You get the new house, you get the new car, but why should we care? And I was like, oh my God, the vision that a leader has, someone that runs a business or whatever your capacity, is not the vision of the organization or your team. It's your vision. I want $10 million. That means something to my big fat ego, but it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. That's when I started to learn, and it took me a decade to really understand and now deploy, is every human, we all have our own dreams. Shocker. And therefore, the job as a leader is not to say, this is my dream, but to ask, to speak less and ask more, what is your dream? And once we understand everyone on our team's individual dreams and what they're looking to achieve, and we identify what the vision of our own dream is, then we just figure out the path. What can I do in my organization to make sure that Aaron, Kelsey, Jeremy, Amy, and all of our team members here are checking off the boxes in their life so I can check off another box in my life?
Right.
That was the big lesson.
That's huge.
And if we all march together, if we're all making achievements in what we want and we're marching together, it becomes an unstoppable force.
Mm-hmm. And what's pretty amazing is when all of a sudden they take that approach with their teammates too. Like, what can I do to help my teammates check the box off?
It's funny. We just did this alignment exercise, I'll call it, literally just last week. We're a little bit late. We usually do it right in the beginning of the year. This year we started in the end of January when we did it. But what we notice is there's also common dreams. So of our team members here at this office, there's only 8 of us. 6 people are like, I want to learn Spanish, or I'm trying to learn Spanish on my own. The president of our company, Kelsey, said, oh, we just got an intern that's going to come in from Spain to work with us because she wants to experience what it is to work with an author, and she likes your stuff. She's willing to fly out on her own, get an apartment out here and live with us and teach us Spanish. It's like, oh my God, we're checking off a list for her. And this person is getting exposure to what she's looking to gain experientially.
Right.
And who knows, maybe she's a dream employee and then we offer her a permanent position here. So it's cool once you understand what everyone wants, the puzzle pieces are pretty easy to stick together.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not always crystal clear when you first start doing it, but you have to trust that it is going to come together. Yeah.
It will reveal itself. But
now, in service to you and in respect to your time, I know we only have a few minutes left, but if I could though.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I listen to your routine and what time you go to bed. You apparently don't have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old like I do.
Nine more. No,
because that crap ain't happening in my house. All right.
No
Even
way.
though I love it. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But my money bunnies. Okay. Can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, because here's the deal. I got that daughter at the basketball game. She's like, hey, Dad, can I have $10? What do you want? A bottle of water. Why do you need $10? I'll give you the change. No, you won't. Okay.
You'll never get this.
Yeah. Yeah. But talk about that because I think it's awesome for you to, for that to provide to kids and to grind through that. I think it's really cool.
I think one of the proud parenting moments that I have, and I think my wife agrees, is our oldest son, who's now just got engaged. He's turning 29 years old.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're all so exciting. We're so excited for him. And he found the love of his life. And we feel the same for her. They're a great match. And he was graduating high school, and the community we're in, enough of the parents have enough disposable income to gift their child a new car for graduation. Like this is like while not everyone does it, I would say a percentage, and it seems to be a growing percentage of parents do this. So our son comes to us and say, hey, I'm graduating. All my friends are getting a car. I want to get a ar. And we're like, F no. He's like, but everyone gets a car. We're like, no, are you kidding me? Here's how you're going to get a car. You're going to get your ass to work and you're going to buy your car. And this conversation started already as his freshman year. He started working and his senior year, he bought a car. It was this crappy blue Lumina. It cost $3,000. I've never seen such a hunk of junk. That thing was creaking.
But the best crappy blue Lumina ever.
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 Dude, fast forward 1 year, and I asked Tyler, I said, how do you feel about buying your own car? He's like, I've never felt so strong and powerful. He goes, I just feel so confident in myself. Like, what do you think of your friends? Entitlement, and that's not the word he used, but there's an entitlement mentality. Like, I just need to get things given to me.
Right.
Fast forward now, that's a lesson he learned, over 10 years ago now. Now he's like, I can do anything. I can earn my way. I can live on my own. There's this internal confidence. He's like, I'm so proud of that car. He goes, it's my favorite car ever, because I made that happen. And then that was a proud parenting moment. And then, so that's why I wrote My Money Bunnies, is I want to empower our next generation to earn their way, but also be disciplined with money. I think the way to manage money is very simple. And I think as we grow up from toddlers and we get older, the ways we're introduced to money actually brings complexity to it. I think money's taught a lot. People say, I wish they taught something in school. I think it's taught all over the place. And maybe a school doesn't have a class for personal management, but it's taught and exposed to us in many ways. And it's so complex, it's so overwhelming that I think we just avoid it. And so my goal was to get to the essence of when you earn money, how to manage it, and also get the elements of life that we want. That immediate satisfaction, that's a human desire for all of us. What can we get right now? Long-term goal planning. What's the thing I really want and save to us? So we have that proud blue lumina moment, and contribution to society. Yeah. What can we do to give to others? Yeah. That's what I wanted to have in that book. And I hope
what is a good age to start?
Good age to start with money learning. We started with our youngest. He was 3 when we started, a little Jakey. And what was so fascinating is first, at our house, we had a chore list that you can get paid for and sign up for the work projects.
Okay.
Our daughter was wickedly smart. She was 3 years older. So she was 6 when he was 3. She's like, I'll sign up for all the tasks. Little Jake is like, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, hey, I'll pay you to do this, Jake. He's like, that's amazing. And she would take a percent. The entrepreneurialism was unbelievable.
Yeah.
She was manipulating him.
Yeah. That's my daughter's a master. She's a master negotiator. She really is. But hey, right before we go, I want to talk about your most recent book, Get Different, Marketing That Can't Be Ignored. Just really quick, because there's so much in that. I love it. So
I'll give you the essence of it. If you are better than the competition, if what you do is a better service to your clients in some capacity, or maybe many capacities, than the alternatives, you have a responsibility to market. Marketing is the ultimate act of kindness, because customers need to discover what's better for them. But if we acquiesce that responsibility, if we don't show up and stand out, we're never going to get noticed. So Get Different is, first of all, it's a rallying cry that you've got to get noticed. Secondly, is how to do it, but do it in a way that's consistent with you. It's not about being outrageous or crazy. It's about amplifying your differences, your own idiosyncrasies, exposing it through marketing, and then winning business over.
Love it, Mike. Thank you. I cannot say thank you enough times. Appreciate you. Appreciate everything you do. And, look forward to talking again soon.
I'd be honored. Take care, Ed.
All right. Take care, Mike.